Hey, Blue Table fans, Sean here, recording on my laptop microphone. So, as usual, the audio isn't that great, but you will get to hear my insightful insights. And away we go. So, first stop is Fayette 212, and there's a new post today called Space Marines Lots of Information. This is Space Marines Rumors. Obviously, this is a huge release. Space Marines comprise at least a third to a half of all the 40K that is painted and played. But you know what? Just before we do that, I just want to take a quick swing past Cool Mini or Not. Let's go to the top, see what they have going. First off, there's a company here I've never heard. It's called Terrible Kids Stuff, but some pretty cool figures here. These are 32 millimeter. Now, originally, an infantry figure was 25 millimeters, and that means that a guy is about 1 inch tall. Now, going back even further, there have been, I came across way back when I started BTP in 2004, there was a company that, it was a historicals company where if the guy was kneeling, they also made him 25 millimeters. So, like, the kneeling guys were like twice as big as the standing guys. It was really weird. So anyway, so then over the years, the scale has actually started to creep up. As you know, an inch is right around 26 millimeters, and you ended up with it creeping up to 28 millimeters, which is kind of the war game standard nowadays, which is a guy is just over an inch tall. And then you've got it's starting to get up to 30 millimeters, 32 millimeters. And let me tell you, when you see these things next to each other, you definitely notice the ones that are slightly taller than the others. So anyway, so yeah, these guys. Oh, this was bizarre. Oh my gosh, are you serious? This weird sort of steampunk Al Capone figure. He's like some kind of centaur pig with a beer tap on his belly. Bizarre. Really, ew, very strange. I don't know. That's great. Very, very imaginative. I love creativity. It's really neat. Okay, now there's Wrath of Kings, and guy, that has some great models out. It's almost like Rackham's answer to, not Rackham, but Cool Mini's answer to Malifaux. And Malifaux sells really well. We get quite a bit through Blue Table Painting. Angry Neighbors expansion for Zombicide. By the way, BTP has a collection of Zombicide that would just blow your mind. It's over 300 painted zombies. They're not painted that great, and they gave me at Adepticon last year. They gave me like all the Kickstarter stuff too. So I have that apparently at eBay's for like 800 or 1200 or something like that. So if anyone's interested in buying our Zombicide, check the liner notes for a price or contact me at bluetablepainting@gmail.com because I'm ready to part with all of our Zombicide stuff. It's at least like retail, never mind the limited edition stuff. It's um, it's at least retail about $800. So anyway, so this has a special guest artist box, Paolo Parente, and just wanted to show you who he is. He's actually a very well-known artist, so that's him. And this is kind of his style of art here. This sort of, I don't know, watercolory, uh, realistic, exaggerated pinup girl type of stuff. So pretty cool. Definitely look him up. I highly recommend. And so yeah, a bunch of Zombicide stuff. Dark Age. I remember interviewing the guy that was in charge of Dark Age a few years back, and I just got to tell you, they just keep putting out. There's so much. I wish I had like 4 lifetimes and tons of money and no work so that I could just paint and play and collect all of these games. They're just all so amazingly cool, so imaginative. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is good stuff, guys. All right, well that's all there is for Cool Mini. Got some Malifaux stuff. Yeah, we've seen that before. So let me just close out these. All right. So that's oh, and by the way, he is involved with Dust Tactics. So that's pretty good stuff right there. Too bad that game doesn't see much more play. Well, I guess we wouldn't see it at VTP because they come pre-painted. You know, we've had some that we've repainted and done a really good job at, I might add. Games Workshop. Oh, guy. Space Marines. All right, let's go back to Space Marines. So there's quite a bit of miscellaneous information from various places here, and I wanted to make sure I'm reading this verbatim. How do you like that? I wanted to make sure that all saw the light of day, so we have translation from various pages of this week's leaked information, direct info from someone with the White Dwarf in hand, and finally some rumors in the new codex regarding drop pods. Drop pods. Well, I'm glad they made them cool. By the way, we had 2 assembled, sealed, the doors don't open, drop pods to the studio yesterday, and I'm ready to sell those at half off. So that's about $19 each for those 2 drop pods. So contact me if you're interested in those. Okay, not sure if this is already posted or common knowledge, but for what it's worth, there are limited editions of the Codex Space Marines, 6 of them for the different orders of the First Founding, which follow the Codex Astartes. The 7th is for successor chapters. Each limited edition has sturdy slipcase, including 2 books. The first is the Codex itself, which is decorated with artwork depicting the respective character of the order perfectly. From page 7 shows all 7 limited editions, the side notes. 7 limited edition codexes, top from left to right, Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, and Raven Guard, Iron Hands, Salamanders, Successor Chapters, and White Scars. That's pretty cool. Oh my gosh, so like Salamanders might get their own codex. That's, oh, yes! Oh yes, that is fantastic. Oh, and by the way, I am in a very attractive kitchen dining room with a round black table, 4 very dark brown chairs. There's a sun nook in front of me that has some plants on the floor in it. Just some potted, maybe 5 potted plants. Yellow flowers, some water. I had lentil soup for breakfast. I'm a huge fan of legumes. Love them. All right. From the table of contents, Battle Forces, Ultramarines, Blood Angels, and Dark Angels chapters. With a new set coming out, you can start a beginner army or can enrich a current force with reinforcements. Codex, Space Marines, Codex we have never published. You more about this brand new monster of book. Jeez, that's a weird translation. Okay, from White Dwarf in hand. I have the new White Dwarf in hand. In case it hasn't been mentioned yet, the Devastator box comes with 2 of each weapon and a lot of options for the Sergeant. The limited edition codex, like the previous version, come in 7 different variants. We've already read that. Space Marine rumors. Obviously not concrete, but I've heard on the grapevine that the new decks will have fast attack drop pods. Obviously nothing with bulky or worse than 3+ save can use them, unless they are dedicated maybe. Would make sense as it would curb allied pod nonsense. It would also force you to teleport your termies in if wanting to deep strike. Fluffy, with Homer support. Only thing is then you have access to non-restrictive pods. Now I just want to point something out is that it's like, well, why don't you just deep strike your Terminators in? It's because the drop pod not only can provide cover, can sit on objectives, not only, but it also doesn't deviate as much. There's this risk with deep striking that's just, it's still too much. And so it makes these deep strike units, they kind of like, it just adds this sort of random element to deep strike, because deep strike is supposed to be good. It's supposed to be this advantage, and it's just, deep strike is, I'm sorry, I'm saying it, unless you have like some amazing like shooting ability, deep strike is not that awesome. It needs to be like less of a scatter, less of a, like there's a risk you might just blow up the entire unit, or they might be delayed a turn. And all of these little mishaps that can happen are just these game turning issues. So that's why drop pods are awesome, because they take away that randomness. Only thing is then you have access to non-restricted pods via Wolves and Blood Angels, which makes me think we're still getting a hell of an FAQ, or this book is going to really unite Space Marine factions for the better. This would also get rid of the Centurion Grav pods some people are worried about. Not the Devastators, though, although with their new armored feet, maybe Devastators become bulky with slow and purposeful or something, as you probably couldn't fit 10 Marines and 4 Heavies in a pod anyway. All right, so there's your Space Marine rumors. All right, guys, we are going to take a look at not a Games Workshop, but a Blue Table Painting pricing spreadsheet. And I get a lot of requests for these. You request them at projects@bluetablepainting.com. Be sure you tell me what army you want, because we actually have about, I'd say at least 50, maybe as many as 100 different ones. And it's for each army. We do have a generic one that's just, says infantry, elite infantry, cavalry, stuff like that. And you can get a ballpark out of that one. So what you do is you just add in, you just put the level that you want here in column B, and there's a drop down menu for that, and then you put the quantity that you want. Now, this doesn't include any sort of discounts for bulk, artistic license, stuff like that, so just be sure to mention that, and I will get those on a quote for you. But you can kind of play around with it. Sometimes there's specials in there, like on the Tyranids one, there's a special for broods of 60 gaunts. And so at the bottom, it'll total it all up. And that is how those work. So request your sheet today, and I'll send that right out to you. So folks, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate all the support that we've got over the years. Blue Table Painting has really stood the test of time. We're sitting on well over 6,000 completed contracts. Now, you may notice in my videos, sometimes I say 6,000, 7,000. It just depends on how conservative I'm feeling that day. I'm basing this on, from our second website that we had, the number would go up each time you made a new gallery. But then there were some headers, and then there were some galleries that were deleted. There were some projects that never got pictures taken of them. So when we closed that down and did our third edition website, it was at 6,500. So I always counted that as 6,000 projects completed. And so anyway, so we're sitting on at least 6,000 projects completed under our belt. That's contracts that were completed, sealed, everything was done, we came through, and that is really an unmatched track record in this industry. So I'm here every day. You can, if you're a client, you can always reach me at the front desk phone. You can reach me at the various emails, and that is what we're all about. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.